might be 1,000 applications they're reading over a couple of days. So we want them to lean into your application. They can be academic, they can be non-academic. So it's important that you look beyond the classroom, which we find many of our international students do not do. And remember, you're in competition with other countries, and the American students we work with are a lot more savvy when it comes into those lean in moments and working outside the classroom on activities. So that's why we're here. And we don't want you to despair. It's not too late. If you're a rising senior next year, there are still ways. In fact, we would love to help you build in those lean in moments. So what do these lean in moments do? Why are they important? And it's because they're going to predict the undergraduate behavior. If you would change slides. Okay. Oh, good. It's recording. Oh, and there I see the, okay, they're predicting undergraduate behavior. What they are looking for is to create a student body that is diverse, that has various interests, that is going to be engaged in the community, not just sitting in your dorm room. And these lean-in moments are what predict that. It shows the students that stand out, that they're well-rounded, that there is personal enrichment for them, and also that they're going to contribute to the personal enrichment of others, which is key. Jen, you go ahead. Case studies.
We're gonna. So how does all this play in when you're writing your essays, and how does this look in the big picture when you are submitting these essays for your application? So we're gonna look at several different case studies. And the key to remember is all these students had really impressive grades and test scores. So on paper, they all looked similar, right? So what sets them apart are those lean in moments. And that's what's really going to put them above the rest of the applicants when they are trying to get into these colleges. So let's take a look at the first one. We'll change the slide. There we go. Here's our first student. This is Samantha. She's a Lumiere student from America. Her field of interest is biology. Now, when this student came to us, all we had to go on was that she had a sports injury. That's basically it. And so what we did over the course of several months working with her is we helped create those lean in moments. So we'll go to the next slide, and I'm going to read you actually this essay that she wrote, and see if you can pick up on some of these lean in moments that we helped her cultivate as I go through this essay. And then on the back side of it, we'll talk about it just a little bit more. So, what if true healing includes both physical and emotional components, working in unison toward recovery? I began questioning the intersectionality of science and psychology when I was injured while playing field hockey. The human brain records injury in electrical impulses, yet recovery may also include frustration, fear, perseverance, and eventually resolution. Somewhere between neuron sparks and the human narrative lies an uncharted frontier determining the outcome of one's recovery. This is a space I wish to explore. My curiosity ignited 4 years ago. It wasn't dramatic, no lights flashing or crowds gasping, just a quiet thud, a disorienting fog, and then indescribable physical pain. I returned to our field hockey game, insisting I was fine, even though I could barely breathe. Days passed, the pain persisted, and my schoolwork began to suffer. Still, I refused further medical treatment and willed myself to press on. Eventually, my physician ordered x-rays, and the image revealed a fractured femur. The technician marveled that I had been able to push the pain aside until then. That experience became the foundation for my research on the mind-body connection. My quest for answers began at my high school when I conducted a survey of athletes, parents, and coaches, uncovering patterns, not just in symptoms, but in emotions. Is it possible that while the body may be broken, the mind can override the trauma? I presented my findings to our athletic director, who is reviewing the current school policy. With a desire to dig deeper, I applied and was accepted to the Lumiere Research Scholar Program and worked with leading scientists at a neuroscience institute. My collaboration resulted in an 18-page research paper that underscored the importance of proper diagnosis while also recognizing the emotional trauma that may accompany injury. Some of the greatest pressures come from peers, coaches, and even parents pressing injured students to return to the field or court too soon. While I'm proud of this research and the impact it may have in the future, I felt compelled to address this issue on a more personal level. This resulted in a children's book I authored, which is now available online. Targeting our most vulnerable victims of injury, it aims to dispel the stigma and peer pressure that students may feel. Through these experiences, I now realize the true path of healing is by uncovering the medical and emotional markers that lead to a thorough diagnosis and treatment plan. To continue exploring this frontier, I intend to major in biology while also studying anthropology, where science meets narrative, data gives way to understanding, and understanding evolves into empathy. But I will not stop at theory. I envision collaborating with researchers and clinicians designing programs that help patients, especially young athletes, understand their injuries, not just through medical charts, but through narrative, how the brain processes emotion, how memory rewires after trauma, and how language aids recovery. I want to turn research into resonance, bridging the sterile language of science with the lived experience of healing. Perhaps the next intellectual frontier will not be found solely in a lab or library, but in the space between them. It's where physical networks meet human stories, where learning becomes a way to build connections. College will offer me the tools to navigate that space with precision and compassion. So let's go to the next slide. And hopefully, you picked up on some of these lean in moments that we helped Samantha build into her essay. So remember, when she came to us, all we knew was that she had a sports injury. And so that developed into this survey that she did exposing peer pressure. And she was able to present her findings to the school, who's now starting to reevaluate that school policy. So she took action and then saw results from that she was able to include in her essay. And then you saw how well Lumiere, we built this into her essay, which we think is so important and actually will elevate your essay so much by doing that research paper. It showed the initiative that she took outside the classroom to do more with her field of interest. And she also authored a children's book, which was published, and we helped guide her through that entire process. And then at the end of the essay, you also saw how she wrote, how she envisions what she did in high school to move forward in college. So that shows the university that she's still going to be very passionate about this and still be very influential when she goes into college and takes that next step. So we think that we were able to help her really develop and cultivate some really meaningful lean in moments through her essay. All right, let's go then.
One thing to build on that really quickly. Don't think that the things that you saw in there take a lot of time. Oh my goodness, a book? No, they don't. First of all, we helped the students authentically through the whole process, and it wasn't long, but it was good and it was solid and it was a children's book. So just don't think, oh my goodness, I don't have this or I can't create this, because our job is to help create these where they don't take a lot of time, but they're enriching and impressive and authentic. So thank you, Adia, for the next case study. We have Emma, and Emma is a student from the UK. And her field of interest is architecture and sustainability, which is a very now topic and something to be studying. It's up and coming. All we had to go on from her when we interviewed her was that she had a geriatric dog, an old dog, and she built a ramp for the dog to go up to the sofa. That's it. But it was giving us that lean in moment that we were thinking, what can we do with that? So what did we have her do? We worked with her and guided her through this process. She led the students at her school to build a school garden that was sustainable. She researched other possibilities, and we worked with her on this. And we found out that dog mazes in backyards, where dogs can weave through mazes, and it activates their brain and keeps them exercise, are very, very big around the world. And so we researched together and wrote the top Japanese designer. But what that took was, we had to find out, how do you approach somebody in Japan with respect in an email, which also offered the diversity component, that she's sensitive to other people's needs. Then she researched and built a maze, which was beautiful. It wasn't big, but it served the purpose, and it allowed her to understand more about architecture, and she used sustainable products. Then she sold it to her vet, and they recommended it to other vets. So she actually made a little profit from it, but it wasn't enough. You know, a lot of our students will do this and we say, no, 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 no. She donated the money to the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. So there was just so many components to this. And we'll go ahead and switch to the next slide. And again, it did not take a lot of time to do this. So how did this elevate Emma's application? We would develop a Lumiere project. And what we would come up with, what we would do is the sustainable development, breaking financial barriers. Because one of the things we realize is that by using sustainable products, they're a lot more expensive. So how would she, in her research, how will she use these products, but also still be able to make a profit? Because if you don't have a business. So those were all the components and how we're guiding her through Lumiere. So Adia, we could go to the third case study. Okay,
Yeah, so
this is, go ahead, Emma, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is the last case study we'll look at, and it's our student Maya. This is actually a student from India whose field of interest is pediatrics. And when she first came to us and we did our initial interview, all we had to go on was that she spent 1 week shadowing her pediatrician. That's it. So over the next couple of months, we helped formulate some really powerful lean-in moments to help make her college applications more well-rounded. So she was a pediatric volunteer at a major hospital. So we were able to work with her to help formulate those emails, to help reach out. We even helped her when she went for her interview or had her interview via uh, Zoom, like we're doing now, but helped her, give her some pointers to make her more confident and make her a standout student. And she was accepted. So she was the volunteer at the major hospital. She actually gained rotation physician's trust. So she became very close with the physician. The physician understood what a great student she was. And this isn't always the case. A lot of physicians don't allow you to go do rotations with them, but she was able to make rounds. And what that allowed her to do was build relationships with patients. And because she was into pediatrics, she focused on newborns. So she was able to go to these newborn areas where they are in intensive care. The parents are alongside them. She was able to build relationships with those parents. And what that did was bring to life real narratives, because what we love to do in our essays, we don't just like to say, oh, I volunteered at a major hospital over the summer. No, what we want our essays to be, well, is, talking about a mother who is completely desperate, wanting her child to be saved, the stress, the tears that she saw on this mother's face. Weave that into the beginning of the essay so that it displays how passionate she is about this career, and it really builds in those lean in powerful moments where you can paint this beautiful picture of what she's experiencing and how it's impacted her, and then in turn how she's going to use that in the future in college and beyond. So while these are great lean in moments, we really suggested, and we can go to the next slide, how she could incorporate Lumiere to even make this more powerful. So what we decided would be an amazing topic that's in line with what she's wanting to do in the future is study how infant mortality rates are at record lows in India right now. And it hasn't always been the case. But what is India doing to make these mortality rates drop like this? So we suggest that she studied and could find these strategies and how these strategies could be applied in other countries who have really high infant mortality rates. So that's what we would suggest her Lumiere project do. And we think by incorporating that along with what she's already done would make her application stand out tremendously. And again, like Marina said, those lean in moments that we helped cultivate did not take long. And it was something that she had so much fun doing and learned so many things. So, again, if you're still looking for some of those lean in moments, don't stress out, like Marina said, because there's so much time and these really don't take a lot of time, but have a huge impact on your application.
And to build on that just a little bit, we actually work with the student and Lumiere to come up with the research project, because what we want to do is we want it to be something that fits with your narrative. So that it's whatever, as Jen had said earlier, whatever you intend to study, that this would also fit with that. And by guiding her through the process at the hospital, we are ready to write those essays afterwards. It's not like a hit or miss, like, well, did you speak to the parents? Because oftentimes, as Jen said, they won't. You won't. As a student, you think, okay, it's enough that I in the background and do the rotation with the physician. And that really isn't enough. You have to step up, which means that sometimes after a rotation, the student will call us and say, well, how do I get past this? Or they won't let me speak to the patients. Well, try this, and it usually works. So when it's time for us to write with the student, if we end up writing with them and coaching them, not writing it for them, we have what we need, and the essays basically write themselves, which we know we're going to have a home run. So what's the bottom line? How do you build an authentic application? The first thing is your career. You want, as we said, those impactful opportunities. And that takes a little research and a little thought, but again, does not take a lot of time. What are your existing activities? And then head off campus. Keep in mind, you are in competition with your peers at your school. And colleges are only going to accept a few students from each school. So if all your activities are on campus, what makes you stand out from your peers that are also applying to those schools? So we want you to head off campus some. We want you to perform the unexpected. As you see, our first case study, she did. Writing the children's book. Again, that did not take a lot of time. And then the layers. One door opens another. It's like, well, I came up with the dog maze. Then I went to the veterinarian. Then I chose to research and found the Japanese developer, architect. So it's just one door leads to another. And that's what they think that is what a well-rounded student is. So, and we could go to the next slide. We are offering you, because you're a Lumiere student, a complimentary consultation. There is no obligation to sign up with us, but we would love to hear from you. I'm actually going to send you each an email as well, but so just reach out to me. You see my email down there, Marina at the right essay at gmail.com. And we're happy to talk to you about your individual situation and ways that we think that you could create those lean in moments if you don't already have them and don't even realize what they are. So that's basically our presentation. And Adia, would you like to open it up to questions so we can speak about each person's needs?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. That was such a fantastic presentation with such interesting case studies. I'm opening the floor up to questions now from the participants. They'd love to, Jen and Marina would love to hear from you guys if you have any specific questions about your essays, or if you want any writing tips, anything, please feel free to keep putting them in the chat.
Are we allowing them to speak, or we're just going to have them go ahead and send us the questions, however you all, Adia, you deem fit. We're happy to.
Yeah, you can either feel free to unmute yourselves and ask your question, or you can put it in the chat and I'm happy to read it for you, whichever way makes sense. I'm happy to kick us off with a question that I have, which is, what are the most common writing mistakes that you see from students, specifically international students?
I'll start with that, and Jen, please jump in. As I said before, focusing solely on academics, because the students that you are competing with, and it is a competition, they are very well rounded, and you are in competition with the American students as well. And we also work with schools across the globe, but is the well rounded. Not just you have to have the grades and the test scores, but you need more than that. So that's where I think they fall short.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that just focusing on academics and not showing your ability to, say, build a community, be involved in a community, build relationships, do things outside of academics that shows the person you are, right? Because we know that you guys are incredibly smart, you're going to do well, but just showing that personal side, I think is one of the most common mistakes that we see. So making sure that you can build that out in those narratives, and that's all part of the lean in moments too, can really help you stand out.
And as Jen said, with the standing out, just to read, and see we have a question, is that you may not have the opportunity to speak directly with these people. Some of the admissions counselors will meet with students, but we always imagine hundreds of applications a day for each one of them. How are you going to create that lean in moment? And the essay is really your only voice. So you must stand out. And it's not, we're not, when we work with a student, it's in your voice. We're working directly with you. We do not write them. They're your voice, but they will actually hear you, not us, but you speaking to them, which is so important. And that also creates the lean in moment. I see there was somebody down there with a question.
Yes.
I didn't see the
Yes.
whole question though.
So Shekha asks, does building a lean in moment is building a lean in moment necessary to lead to creating a research project or paper? Sorry, essentially, I think it
Well,
means
you might,
do you
and
need to
I'll
build
start
a,
with
yeah.
that. Yeah, well, absolutely. And that's why we work directly with Lumiere and the student, because we honestly, with the 20 years of over 20 years, there is no prompt we don't know. Most of the schools, it's the same prompt over and over. So when we help you develop those lean in moments and work with you on a Lumiere project, we know what's going to stand out and be different. We don't want you, and there's certain topics we do not recommend you touch, like divorce, unless there's something extraordinary about it. But you need topics that are different, and the Lumiere project is the excellent opportunity for you to shine and create those lean in moments. We're seeing a lot of questions come up. This is great.
Thank
Okay.
you. The next one we have from A Cook. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. If I'm not, please let me know. What if we write essays with the help of AI?
Jen, would you like to take that
Yeah.
one?
We don't use AI, and to be honest, the American schools have different software that they can use that will alert them if a student has used AI. And so those students' applications will most likely get rejected. So, using AI to come up with ideas and things like that, that's one thing, but having AI to help you actually write your essay is a big no-no, and something that we don't do with our students.
Not only is it cheating, but I actually conducted a little experiment with a student I knew personally, because we get to know you personally and your everything about you, your family, how you think, your feelings, and I put in just the information that I had that was what before we interviewed the student and really dug down and found out more about the student. And what it came up with AI was nothing personal. There were no lean in moments. There, even if it's cheating, but there was nothing human about this person. And keep in mind, the big essay, the 650 word one, and then there are the supplements, is called a personal statement. And they're called prompts for a reason. They're not called questions. They're prompting you to tell them something about you. So as Jen said, they will find you. And then also, even if they didn't, which they will, it's not going to really serve the purpose of what they're looking for. So I think we have a lot more questions. This is great.
Um, Next question is from Leah. How should we begin a college essay in a way that feels original and compelling? I've noticed that many people recommend starting with a metaphor or a quote, but that approach often makes different essays sound similar rather than unique. What makes for a truly strong and distinctive opening?
I think this is a great question. It's true. A lot of people do want to start with a quote, a metaphor, but to be honest, I feel like there's ways of writing that is a lot stronger than a quote. I don't want to call it lazy writing, but I feel like you can have an essay much more powerful if you start with a narrative. Start with a story. Think about your senses, this experience that has driven you. What did you see? What were the smells? What did you hear? For example, a student that works at a hospital maybe saw rows of hospital beds. They saw mothers crying. They heard babies crying. Just something that's so powerful that the reader of the essay is going to, like we said, lean into this essay. It's going to make the essay different, and it's going to make the essay much more powerful if you can start with an impactful story. That's why we talk about building relationships with people when you have these experiences that are building your narratives. Meet people, because that's what's going to help build your essay. The very top, it's got to be so powerful that it makes those essay readers want to read more.
And the perfect example is the case study, the essay Jen read. We started with a question because when you ask a question, the reader's like, oh my gosh, they're asking me something. And then we followed it up with her actual story of the injury. So once they're vested, in the first paragraph is so important. They're all important, but once they're vested and they've spent the time in the first few sentences, which are critical, they're going to read the essay. So starting with a quote, you can put a quote maybe in the conclusion to like nail it, but we don't recommend that at all. And as journalists, we can get to the crux of it and actually say, oh my goodness, this is the powerful way to start this essay. This is it right here. And then you see it too, because we walk you through it. So you'll have that gut feeling if you work on your own that, oh yes, this is what's going to get them to read authentically. But so that, I think that pretty much answers that question.
Yeah, awesome. The next question we have from Iman, which is, I think, less to do with the essay, but I'll read it out. I haven't done anything in first year of my A levels. I want to do extracurriculars in my second year, but I'm not sure where to start. Will it have an impact on my applications if I haven't done anything in the first year? Do research projects have huge impact on applications?
I think you're fine. I don't think you've
Well,
waited
I
too
can say,
late.
no,
Yeah, go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Marina. Sorry.
No,
You want me
no,
to
go
take it?
ahead, Jen, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
take it.
I don't think that you've waited too long. I think you're totally fine to start doing extracurricular in your second year. Just make sure what you're doing. Do some things that involve the major, the field of study you want to go in, and then do some things that don't. So they see that you're well-rounded. Make sure you have extracurriculars that, again, fall in line with what you're wanting to do, and make sure you have extracurriculars that show what you're going to offer this university when you get there. Things that build community, things that show that you're a leader. Try to lead something, try to get involved, try to get your peers to go in line with you and do something great. Those are the kind of things that are going to have an impact on your application. The research projects have a huge impact as well. That's on the academic side. Lumiere is one way that can really elevate your application. So do the research projects, do the extracurriculars, both on your campus and off campus. But you're fine. You still have time to do this.
Well, if you want to know a little secret, we have students that are just starting right now and they're juniors. So I think it's important because they'll say, oh, well, what if I do this or that? No, it's going to take too much time. You may not have a result ready for the essays, and it's not impactful. So again, you're not too late, as Jen's saying. You just need to know what is the one that's really going to do it for you, or a couple, and how do we devise it? And we actually work with students who may write on their own, and we offer that we will help you create those lean in moments by interviewing you and saying, okay, go off, let's do this, and identify some of them. And then they go off on their own, maybe come back to us to proofread, or go all the way through with the actually coaching them through the essay process. And again, we know what all the essays are. They don't change. So we don't recommend waiting for the American schools till August 1st when they say they're going to release the prompts, because usually they don't even do it August 1st. They do it later. By then you're already in school and we know what the prompts are. So why not start earlier?
Yeah, I think that makes
Is
a lot of
that
sense. I think connecting to this is the next question from Numaya. What if we don't have some quote unquote out of the world extracurriculars. Being from a small town where there's little to none volunteer work or social engagement, is finding things related to my core interest myself online, researching myself. Does that count in as a lean in moment?
I'll take that one. Actually, being from a small town is very attractive because you could offer a different perspective to a school that another student from a big city may not. And there is always a lead in moment you can create. We would actually want to speak to you. So please reach out to me because there's something that you can come up with. We don't know what your major is, or what your field of study, but there's always something that you can come up with. So don't despair. Being from a small town can actually benefit you.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
thank
just
you.
that just I just want to add one thing too is, don't overthink these essays. Like we've had
Mhm.
extremely powerful essays on subjects that are as simple as if you prefer dogs or cats, or making chocolate, making cheese. Like it is all about the writing, and it also shows your fun side as well because you guys have such strong academics. So again, if you're from a small town, don't overthink. Don't think you have to do just some wild and crazy thing. Some of the simpler moments too can make for really powerful essays.
We say it's the whisper, not the shout, because everybody's shouting on them really quickly about the cheese essay. This girl had nothing. But when we interviewed her, she said she loved cheese. So we said, why don't you learn how to make cheese? And what that show is not really cheese making, it's the failures, it's the attempts that she researched how to make it. She joined online groups. So it showed intellectual curiosity outside the classroom, that she was tenacious, that she was going to do this, that she's resourceful. So it really had nothing. The cheese making was the metaphor, but how easy is that to make cheese? I mean, it's a little difficult to make it. And she had 3 attempts that didn't work. But you see, there's always something, as Jen was saying.
Yeah, thank you. Um, Next question is from Sheikha, who's already asked us one question, but I think this is a good follow-up. Could you also provide us with the universities that these case studies that you guys mentioned earlier have been accepted to?
We actually we must anonymize everything, but our students range from the top Ivies, Harvard, Yale, Stanford, to state schools, because some of the students want to go to state schools. So we cannot get any. In fact, we changed names even of these people because we want to keep this anonymous. So we can't say specifically where they were admitted, but I can say that the student with the essay admitted to several Ivies. And when we speak to you, if that's your goal, we're going to really make sure authentically that you have the absolute best chance of being admitted. So I hope that answers. I just can't say any more than that.
Yeah, no, that's completely understandable. Thank you for that.
We'll leave it open that there were elite schools. Yeah. Okay.
The next question is from Zoya. What extracurriculars are best to do?
Hmm. Well, it could be anything. As you saw with the one essay, even creating the garden at school. But what we did was she used sustainable products, and it showed leadership. It could be anything. We worked with a boy last year, and he was a Lumiere student, who he wants to create shopping centers that are in areas where the underserved students, less means. And so we helped them identify a extracurricular off campus that works with these kids. So it could, one student, and they never would have thought of this. She was interested in law. So I don't know if you know what recidivism is, but recidivism is when they keep going back to prison. I mean, and they keep going through the system. And so we found a group she volunteered at that helps formerly incarcerated work with these people so that they don't go back to prison. So they're all unique. They don't take a lot of time, but those are the kinds of things. Or it could be that, here's one. the girl was a baker. This had nothing to do with her major, but she loved to bake. And so we helped her find a place where they bake cakes for children that don't have birthday cakes because their families can't afford them. I mean, and she baked cakes for these kids. Not a lot of time, but how different is that? That's the way we think. And if you work with us, great. We'll help you come up with those. If not, that's the way you need to think. And don't panic. Again, they are out there. So those
Thank
are
you. That's
just a
such a
few.
lovely, lovely story. Um, the next question is from Iman. There is a rumor that our essays are not read till all the way to the end, so we only need to make the start strong. Is this true?
That there is no ending yet.
No, he's saying that
Or
there's a rumor that the essay readers don't read the entire essay, so they only need to make the
Mm-hmm.
start of the essay strong. No, that's not
Jen.
true at all.
Mhm.
We've had several students who the admissions folks will have written in on their acceptance letters how touched they were by their essays. The essays are truly what's going to set you apart from the other students, and the American essay readers absolutely read the essays from start to finish, and it's going to be your strongest piece to your application. So don't listen to people that tell you that.
In fact, if they only read the beginning, that's not a good sign because you didn't hook them in, as we said in the first paragraph. But then there's an art to this. You should not even be able to tell when the next paragraph comes up. It should be seamless, and then write short sentences, maybe 3 words or 2 words, questions, quotes. So you must capture the reader and keep them all the way through that essay because the conclusion is where you really hit it home and answer the prompt. The beginning hooks them. The middle is all the proof for the conclusion. So as Jen said, don't listen to those people. I don't know who they are, but that is not the case. Good question.
Yeah. The next question is from Leah. How can I tell if my essay is strong? Should I ask people who know me to check authenticity or those who don't to assess its impact?
I'll take this. I think it's important for you to have people read it. You don't want what we call analysis paralysis, which means so many people read it, you become confused. We actually have had students come to us at the last minute. They're so confused. Their parents think one thing, their friends think another, their educator thinks another, and they're not listening to themselves. So we will sift through and say, you are fine. This is great. Or we think you can beef it up, or you missed the point. So, yes, have other people read it. That's great. But don't become confused and don't start despairing, thinking that, oh my goodness, my application is terrible, and then start writing and rewriting until it makes no sense.
Yeah, you don't want to have too many people write it. Maybe a
Mm.
select few that you think that you really value their opinion. But at the end of the day, all that matters is that you love your essay, right? Because you don't want to submit an essay that you're not happy with and you've changed because somebody told you it needs to be this way or that way. And then for some reason you don't get accepted, you will always wonder if your original essay that you submitted that you wanted to submit would have been better. So at the end of the day, you need to love it. And that's really what truly matters. But have a couple people you really admire and think they're strong writers read it and see what they think. But you don't always have to take their advice, make sure you're happy at the end of the day.
Yeah, because as Jen said, you're going to either receive the acceptance or the not acceptance. We don't like to use the D word. But a lot of people come to us towards the end and have us read it. And so, we invite you to do that. We'd rather work with you all the way through. But if you're interested in doing that, we're happy to. You just have to give us enough time in case something needs editing. So go ahead.
Awesome. I think that's all the questions so far, but Numaya has written about something that they did. So thanks. I think this is the question that Numaya had asked about being from a small town and not having enough resources. And so I think related to that, they've said, thanks for your reply. My interest is in behavioral economics and psychology. I actually wrote the open letter to New York Times for the recent open letter contest, presenting the perspective of students from my town who have dreams but no resources and give up eventually, and how these students can't afford to play the game because they don't have the networks or the environment in their favor.
That's amazing.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to take that, Jen, or would you like me to
Oh
take
no,
it?
I mean, I think I love that you
Yeah.
participated in that and you did that, and it shows that you have heart and that you care about your community. I think that that's an excellent thing that you did, and so proud of you, and we wish you the very best. You can always reach out to us, as you guys all know, if you want us to help you even more, but you guys, that's impressive.
And maybe build on that. And that is the meat. And you actually did nail it with that. But how did you come up with that information? And if it was purely research and your opinion, maybe there's something you can do that would then build upon that. But a personal thing is, as the student did with the essay that Jen read, in the hospitals. I'm intrigued with your areas of study, and I think there might be something really interesting that we could help you develop. I think we need a little more information from you. So again, it's complimentary. Feel free to reach out. We'll set up a call so we could drill down a little bit more on that to come up with exactly. And please, please, please do not worry about. I had a student once. She was from a rural town in Colorado, and all she had was she sold ice cream. That's it. And we were able to take that and create such a compelling essay. She was admitted into a second tier Ivy with that, because I think they found her attractive because she was in a small town. They liked her perspective, and it was a refreshing essay. So again, we'd love to hear from you, Jen and I. So please, please reach out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I think that's all the questions that we have. Thank you, Jen and Marina, for your time, for listening to all of our participants' questions and answering them so well and so compassionately. Everyone, I hope you all have written down the contact information for Jen and Marina. If not, you can always go to that website as well. And I think Marina's email and Jen's email should be on there as well in case you guys missed it. And yeah, thanks again so much for joining us on this Sunday morning, afternoon, evening. I hope you guys enjoyed the session. Thank you again, hosts, for such a fantastic session.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
guys.
Thank you so much. Great questions. Good luck.
Yes. Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you.